I know many probably finished this episode and were like, you know what, I want to cheer on Shio, I want to cheer on Sato, I want them to be happy, but don't let this make you forget about the fact of what happened in the last episode. We had probably one of the cruelest deaths in anime in a very long time. And regardless of how Shio is, her stance, and what happened to her, and also Sato and how messed up she is, doesn't change the fact of what happened to Shoko is pretty unacceptable. There still needs to be some form of retribution after what happened to Shoko. Let's talk about what this episode tried to do. It gives us some clarity to why Shio is like she is, why she's with Sato, and why she seems very broken for her age. Now, I want to be honest with you, just straight up, I actually went out of my way, and I did read a little bit ahead. Honestly, when I watched the last episode, it really got me. I was like, holy crap, what's gonna happen? And I decided to read a few chapters ahead. I'm not completely caught up or anything. I think there's like only 30 or so chapters, like 37. But I read up until pretty much like the events of this episode, actually where it concluded. I'm not even gonna joke, that's where I kind of stopped reading. In this episode, there was some things that were skipped, which I will save for later in this video and I'll cover. But for now, though, we get some, understanding clarity to Shio and why, she is like she is. She was abandoned by her mother. Now, this is, when you look at this episode and you see it from Shio's perspective, you'll be like, okay, the mother abandoned Shio. That is horrible. That's unacceptable. You should not do that to your child, especially a child of that age, which, in a lot of ways, I agree with that statement. Regardless of, the mother's situation and what she's went through, the point is that, you shouldn't really do that to your own child. But there's a lot of things we got to get from this episode. There was some details that explains the reasoning behind why Shio's mother just straight up left her behind and how Sato was able to find her in the first place. There's a brief little scene to where you see how the mother, she has to put on this mask. She has to put on this happy face in front of Shio and everyone. For instance, Asahi and Shio just being very happy. And you see how, while she's trying to be happy, she has these thoughts going on within her mind to where she's just screaming to herself. She's desperate, struggling. She just wants to be out of this situation. And to kind of explain, basically the husband of her was very abusive. He was not a good man by any means, which we already knew thanks to a couple episodes ago when we got to see from Asahi's perspective what happened to his old man. So we already knew about the father and how he was, but we get to see kind of how he treated the mother a little bit more, and she honestly had to go through a lot. And I think for the most part, everybody's going to get a good understanding of what happened in that scene when Shio's mother decided to leave her by herself. The reason for it is because she realized she was becoming the very person that she despised, the very person she wanted to get Shio away from, she wanted to get away from. She became that person and struck Shio, and she realized she was no better than the very man that she obviously despised. So that is why she felt like it was okay to leave Shio behind, because if she would stay around Shio, she was going to ruin Shio, ruin her completely to where she'll never be the same once again, and she'll probably end up like her. So that is why the mother left her. You can get that from the way the anime depicted. Regardless if you read the manga or not, that was pretty freaking obvious. I think everybody's going to be able to come to that conclusion. However, most likely people that are anime onlys and watch this episode are going to get a very bad read on Shio's mother, not really understanding the true full context or the scope of what she had to go through. And so I want to clarify for you guys for what was actually skipped in this episode. Now, actually, giving a little bit of groundwork, this series is going to be relatively short. I'm going to assume that it's actually not going to ever get a season 2, and judging by how the series has been built up, and I was already told with the first episode of the series when there was like some fire or whatever, with Shio and Sato, that apparently did not happen in the manga, so that was entirely anime original. So we could assume by this being a short series, maybe not having a season 2, that we're probably going to get an anime original ending, a conclusion to Happy Sugar Life, which honestly, I think that's fine with me. And I know many might disagree with that, but, honestly, if we get a conclusion, I'm satisfied, because there's many series I'll watch, for years now, that, never get a season 2, but they're just left on a cliffhanger, and you're like, really? Was it really just an advertisement to go read the manga or go read the light novel? I really don't like that type of stuff. So, in a way, if it does have an anime original ending, and it is leading up to the events that happened in the first episode of Happy Sugar Life, I'm all for it. But getting back on topic, though, the events that were skipped gives a backstory to Shio's mother, actually focuses in on her character. And in all honesty, the chapters that were skipped, I think there was like 3 or 4 chapters that were skipped, you know, there was a lot of content within them. And obviously with the amount of episodes that are left, there wasn't enough time to probably adapt that and still have probably an anime original ending. So they had to make do with what they had, and I feel like even though I'm a little bit upset that some of the events I read in the manga were not in this episode, they did the best that they could actually do with this episode. Because, I mean, I still got the full grasp of what happened to Shio, because the mother left her because she just didn't want to be like the husband she had. But at the same time, once again, people are going to side with Shio and not really understand the mother's perspective. So, getting into the mother. The mother, at a very early age, she met her future husband. And her husband was automatically, right out the gate, a very abusive man. And he pretty much forced upon her a child. I'm not going to go into certain terms because, well, you know, YouTube wouldn't like those terms. But you could probably fill in the blanks to understand what I'm talking about. But basically, the husband went too far. And because of the situation, both families, both parents of the husband and wife, they got involved and like, okay, you obviously need to have these two marry, and, you know, if anything happens, it'll make us look bad, you know, we could potentially lose our job. So, you know, both families are going back at each other, not really caring about Shio's mother at all, and how she felt having a child within her as well that she technically didn't want or was forced upon her, and she was just in a very, you know, stuck position. She really couldn't do anything. She was a rock and a hard place. And eventually she was forced to marry the very man that pretty much forced a child upon her. And as she slowly went through her pregnancy, you see that she starts to gain weight. She realizes how her body starts to change as she has a child. It was mentioned in the chapters, and it's a very sad moment. And honestly, if I was in that position, I don't know what I would do, honestly. It just really shows that, you know, what mothers have to go through when they're having, you know, a child or when they're pregnant. It's probably really rough, honestly. In a lot of ways, I'm glad, you know, I'm not a woman. But the point is that she realized how her body was changing, and she couldn't do anything to really stop it, and she was just, you know, getting, you know, wider and wider because of a baby was inside of her. And eventually, she had the child. And the husband, the one that was forced upon her, continued to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And eventually her own parents also abandoned her where they didn't even care anymore. Because it was not their business. They didn't want no part of it. So she was left alone with a very abusive man that was forced upon her. And a family that she really didn't want at a very early age. And on top of that, she didn't really get to have a proper education. She was forced to have a family so young that she didn't have time to study or really make a career for herself. So she didn't have any options available to her when she actually finally did leave the man and she just took Shio. So she was in a very bad state, and over years and years of this happening, many years, you know, obviously that's going to build up and you're just going to shatter as a person. I don't care who you are, if you're a good person, bad person, whatever. You can be the nicest person in the world and a strong-willed person. If you have to go through that for years upon years, like 5+ years, you're probably not going to be the same person. You're not going to be. You're probably going to be a little bit more calloused. You're probably going to be a little bit more cold-hearted, or you're just going to be so broken you don't even have the proper, like, personality that you once had. So that's what happened to her. Basically, at a very early age, she had a family forced upon her, and because of her parents and the husband's parents forcing it, and she couldn't really do nothing about it. So I feel bad for her. And this was kind of what was cut in this episode, giving clarity to why she was so crazy, why she was broken. And it's a very realistic depiction of a situation like this, because stuff like this actually does happen. I know Happy Sugar Life can be over the top, exaggerated. It definitely is, yes. But that entire backstory to Shio's mother and how the father was is definitely something that definitely happens in everyday life. There's probably someone out there that's going through the exact same situation. So most likely it wasn't just the fact that they did not have enough time to adapt it. It was probably also for censorship reasons as well. Since it was so close to being pretty much absolutely realistic, they probably didn't want to add that in because it's not something they probably could show on TV. I mean, they already showed or pushed the limits with Shoko's death. They probably couldn't even push any further with something like that, because that's something that is truly a problem in today's society. What does this mean for Shio? So Shio, obviously, she believes her mother abandon her, which for good reason I understand why she views that. I think everybody can understand Shio's POV. But she is very misguided. She is someone that does not really understand the full story. She doesn't know what really happened, and Aussie at the end, walking with a bat, he's pretty much wanting to wake her up, and he's kind of being set up more like an antagonist for our two characters, which is very interesting, because technically, he's kind of like a good guy in this situation, but with the way the episode is trying to showcase Shio and Sato's relationship, it was like saying that what was going between them was very pure, because if you rip them apart, they won't be able to exist anymore. They will pretty much have no reason to really live and go on anymore, because they really need each other just to be able to function. I mean, you have Sato, that's always been an empty husk, that was just a empty jar that had nothing, always searching for something, and if she loses Shio, she's probably going to crack, she's probably going to break and not be what she is. She probably just will be so broken, she'll probably end up like Shio's mother. And Shio, being at such an early age, dealing with so many things, most likely she might also break and might not know what to do. She might feel like she might never have anyone that actually ever wants her, because if Sato gives up on her, or, if she's taken away from Sato, then there's just no point anymore. So, there's a lot of things going on here that really complicates the situation. It's trying to basically make it look like Shio and Sato are good guys, and Asahi is a bad guy, when in reality, it's actually the opposite. Which I like how the storytelling is doing that. It's a really unique take on that. Anyways, the point is Shio, she says she is an accomplice with Sato, and she does get to see the bloody clothing in the washer. She does get to see the blood on the floor, but even though she got to see those things, it's very apparent that she's not fully aware of what happened, because she even states in the episode that she thinks that the girl probably just left. There might have been a fight or something like what she saw with her father and mother, but she probably doesn't comprehend the fact that, Sato legit killed Shoko. And so, I don't think she truly understands how dangerous Sato is. Even though she says she'll be an accomplice, a criminal, doesn't mean that she truly knows what Sato's doing and fully has a grasp on it. I mean, she's like only 4 or 5 years old, so obviously she's not going to understand stuff like that. She's not even at the age to really morally understand everything that goes on around her. That's pretty much this episode of Happy Sugar Life. Honestly, it's a great episode. I wish they didn't cut some scenes from the manga, but I think they did the best they possibly could with the little time they have left for this series. So honestly, it doesn't bug me that much. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.